following program is for adult audiences only.
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Welcome.
This is Meister Music.
The Aaron loves the Meister.
Here is your host,
Rich the Meister Dillon.
Asshole.
Did I roll my eyes out loud?
CGCM Rock Radio. What rock radio should be.
live on the set.
Live to air.
Beer.
Coming through Mixcloud. There's about a minute delay from what we're doing right here until it hits Mixcloud. So that's
okay, but the video is still delayed, though, right? Like
yes.
Right now, I'm pointing at the camera.
Yeah, and if you wait, it'll come. It'll come on Mixcloud in a second. That's one thing I really had to deal with when I started this live. Yeah, see, you're starting to point now on Mixcloud.
Actually, that was something I did 2 minutes ago.
See? It's hard to get used to all that. When I first started doing this live streaming thing, that was something that really took me a long time to get used to. And I got to learn not to pay too much attention to what's happening on Mixcloud because it's so far behind.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway, it's good to have you on the show. I apologize for all the troubles getting us hooked up here, but nice to have you on the stream. I appreciate you listening for the last couple months. You've been tuned in every week.
Yes, sir. I sure have.
You got your
lots of chips and beer, man.
I was just gonna say, I bought a new bag of chips just for you being on the show today. Yeah. Iron Maiden, if we didn't coordinate, I'm not wearing my Iron Maiden shirt tonight. If I'd have known you were wearing that, I would have put one on too, so we could have coordinated like the ladies do.
Cool. There you go.
All right. Well, yeah, nice to have you on the stream. I appreciate it, my friend. And let's see. Maybe you can start off. We've played Seasons of the Wolf tracks a few times here in the show, but maybe you can start off. You just give us a quick band history. I know you guys have started way back in 1988. Is that right?
Yeah, October 1988.
That's so you guys have been going for a long time then.
Yeah, can you hear my audio pretty good, or am I yelling at you too loud?
Nope, you're pretty good. On my end, you're pretty good.
Okay,
everything
cool.
sounds good to me.
Yeah, 1988 is when we started, and it took us 2 or 3 years to get some recordings, but we actually recorded our first 2 albums back-to-back in the studio. We just went in and recorded 2 albums worth of material. And we released them on cassette tapes back then.
Yeah, right. I still got a stack of cassette tapes over here in the corner. So
we distributed them out of the back of our car all around the Tampa Bay area. So that's how we got started.
That's right. You guys had your own label, right? What's it called? Earth Mother Music?
It sure is, yes. That's it.
So why did you start your own label? Just as a way to release your own stuff?
Well, because no major labels were smart enough to give us a deal. So,
and now today, because we're talking 88 to whatever today is, what is that, like 30 years? Are you still releasing stuff on Earth Mother Music?
Still doing it. We license it, though, to other labels. Our main label in Germany is Iron Shield Records, and they work through Pure Steel Records. Right. We've had a few things we've released a few things with an Italian label as well.
Yeah, I actually, it is thanks to Iron Shield Records that I found Seasons of the Wolf. And so long before you started listening to my show here, I actually, in 2018, got sent a promo copy of the last act of Defiance album that Seasons of the Wolf released in 2018. I got the advanced promo copy through Iron Shield Records, and I listened to it, and I really enjoyed it, and I wrote a review for it. So I've been aware of you guys since 2018, and then when you popped up in my stream one day, it was really weird. I was like, wait a minute, I know these guys.
Right, yeah, I seen you came up in the Facebook notifications, and I just clicked on it and came into the show. I was like, hey, wow, they're playing some pretty cool shit here, man. Let me say hi to this guy.
Right on. Yeah, no, I certainly do appreciate the listens, and it's weird how things like that get connected. Like I said, in 2018, I discovered Seasons of the Wolf, and then, to be honest, I'd completely forgotten since then about Seasons of the Wolf until you showed up at the stream. I've been listening a lot lately, so it's pretty cool how the internet can bring us all together like that. Oh.
Right, yeah, things are much different now. I miss the days of cassette trading, bands networking together, and all the underground fanzines. You know, I have a whole big giant foot locker full of fanzines that we've been in. So we actually got our name out there a lot better, you know, back in, even before the internet. And we were one of the first bands to jump on the internet, like as early as 1996.
Right.
There was no radio stations and no businesses and no anything on the internet. There was just a lot of rock bands and the chat rooms and stuff like that. It wasn't until like 1998 and 99 where everybody started flooding onto it.
So you find that you think you had a better reach back then without the internet. Interesting.
Yeah, through the underground fanzines, you know, you pick one up and there's a bunch of addresses in the back for radio stations and people wanting to review your stuff and play your stuff. So, you know, I'd take the addresses down and I'd send them out. Hell, back then, even Metal Edge Magazine, Hit Parader, all that stuff, they all had listings in the back of people looking for material. And I'd just sit down, do my homework, and mail those packages out.
Yeah, see, I guess...
Obviously, it's a lot cheaper now. I mean, as far as sending stuff over the internet, that's cool. I mean, but it's so oversaturated. Like, for instance, I'll send out 325 stations that I have on my list right now. I'll send them all out, and, you know, you never know when somebody's taking a vacation, or maybe they're just not around, or the station, you know, isn't around anymore. But you'll send out 325 based on your last mail out, and usually over a couple of weeks period of time, you only get about 75 responses. I'd say that's pretty good odds, though. I mean, we've got about 80 now on the list that are actually playing the latest single releases that we've done. A lot of that's left over from college radio marketing we did back in the 90s, though.
Oh, so a lot of those stations from then are still going.
Some of them, quite a chunk of them. I mean, a lot of people changed over, but there's a few DJs, like, actual terrestrial radio stations, you know, college radio, like WVBR in Ithaca, New York, Soraya Ascath. He's been there since we met him back in 1997, 98.
Nice to know that there's still some folks out there on terrestrial radio that are supporting bands like Seasons of the Wolf. I certainly don't have anything like that here in the Toronto area. I got to go to internet radio, but like you say, that's exactly what it is. It's a flood. Here at CGC, on my email, I must get 50 or better emails a day from bands, from major labels and ones I've never heard of. There's no way I can listen to it all. It's just a complete flood. So to be able to get through that is... it's tough. It's got to be. I mean, I was listening to a tutorial on YouTube from a couple of people that actually try to help bands. You know, They charge very little money, and they do a really big job of helping bands to promote their stuff and get it out there and this and that. I mean, people can't work for free, and if they're actually doing their job, they do need to get a little bit of money. Like, you should be getting some money for what you're doing. No, I'm just doing this for fun, man. I just love it.
Well, that's why it's good, and that's why it eventually turns into something bigger. That's the way I look at things, man. Yeah, you're always doing stuff for free when you're really into it, but, you know, just like a band, if you're not doing it because you love the music, if you're doing it all for money, man, you might make it, you know, but chances are it's not going to be as pure. And being pure might be a little slower way to do it. And we've never really been concerned about getting signed on a major label or anything, seeing as how we were turned down by several. Jason Flom from Atlantic Records, Lava, spoke to him on the phone back in the early 90s when we were trying to get our first record deal. And we got hooked up with him from Bud Snyder, actually the sound engineer from the Allman Brothers.
Okay.
A sound engineer from the Allman Brothers actually co-produced our self-titled album back in 95, 96. And he hooked us up with that guy because he had good contacts with him. So I got to speak with Jason Flom on the phone, and he thought our music was really good. And he loved Bud, and he would love to have done something for us. But at the time, these major labels, what they do is they have a thing where they cover all genres of music. Mm-hmm. And they only sign on a certain amount of artists from each genre, and then it's done. And if one of those artists gets bumped off the label or whatever, then they have room to put somebody else on. And at the time, they had Dream Theater, Sabotage, and I can't remember the other two that were signed on Lava, that Jason Flom, the metal, basically, part of that label. So he's saying, look, yeah, man, I would love to do something for you. You guys would do great, but we're full. Our roster is full.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, hell with this, man. I'm getting tired of trying like this. It's time for Earth Mother Music to start manufacturing and putting out our own stuff.
Exactly.
Through disc makers, by any means necessary, man. Just make sure it's professional. And we always did that. It cost a little money, but we made sure our stuff looked and sounded and mastered, and the package was as good or better than a major label would put out.
And that's the thing. If you've got control of it and you're doing it all yourself like that, you can do it the way you want. There's not going to be someone at the label that's going to say, I don't like the artwork, we're going to change it to this, or I don't like the track order, or whatever. You've got total control over your own stuff, really, which I think as the creator you should have. So
right, you can actually put out an album like Spinal Tap, Smell the Glove.
Go for it. But yeah, no, I think that's a good. I think it's a good way to do it. And look, you guys have been around since 1988. Seasons of the Wolf is certainly well established. Whether or not you're a major name or not is a different thing. But you've got listeners and fan base all over the world. I've joined this week on Facebook some different Seasons of the Wolf Facebook groups, and they're based all over the world. So that's I think that's awesome that you guys have been able to do that, all without label backing, really. I think that's fantastic.
Well, that has a lot to do with, we've never been tapped into the mainstream, and these days I'm not quite sure I'd even want to be.
There is no mainstream anymore.
You just keep putting out songs, you keep writing songs and recording, and you never know. Maybe we've gotten involved in the film industry, the independent film industry, and a lot of our tunes have been used in, say, I think I got about a dozen films.
Right, horror movies, right?
Actually, horror and sci-fi movies. Seasons of the Wolf is perfect for that. So, they put that in there, and we've actually picked up fans that we would have never had if we hadn't have done that.
Right.
People that would have never listened to us on a major radio or anything like that. They were a horror sci-fi fan, and they heard our cool music for a kill scene, I mean, we actually got picked up one time. We almost had our close brush with the mainstream. It was a TV series on TNT Network called Witchblade.
Oh, Witchblade, yes. Actually, I got the DVDs.
And the second season of that, after the one main actress or whatever ended up having a fallout meltdown OD, and they canceled the damn show and they yanked it from the network. But the story before that, the weekend before that happened, we had sent some material because I found them in an independent network listing they were looking for independent music to put as soundtracks in that show. I got in touch with the music supervisor and I sent them out everything we had. Sure enough, he calls me up. He says, we want to use 5 of your songs in 5 different seasons, or 5 different episodes of this show because it fits so well, you guys. And we'll pay you $3,000 a piece for each song.
Perfect.
Which is a lot less than it would cost us for major label stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. I'll set up the phone conversation in the meeting. At the time, they were getting their money for the show or whatever for that type of stuff, music, from Warner Brothers. So he was going to set up the phone meeting with Warner Brothers the following Monday, and we were going to, get the contract all worked out, and the deal would go down. And man, were we excited because we knew we were going to get some cash, but biggest thing is on major network TV, they would be hearing our songs.
Yeah, the reach. That's the key. Yeah.
So she had a fallout meltdown over the weekend. They yanked the show. It actually made the papers that Monday morning. And the guy called me up with tears in his eyes saying everybody that was a part of the show all lost their job.
Oh, man. Yeah. That would explain why there was never a second season. I've got here on DVD, I got the first season, but that's all. I thought it was canceled after the first season. I had no idea there was a second. And that explains why.
I think they were only into the second season for a few shows before they yanked it, and I don't think a lot of people didn't pick up on it. But yeah, it's a damn shame, man. That's our closest brush. That's our war story.
Hey, but it's just fantastic that you guys still keep putting. You guys are still soldiering on and putting out music for your own pleasure as well. But maybe you could tell us, why have you named the band Seasons of the Wolf? What's the story behind the name? Is there a story behind the name?
Well, at the time we were choosing a name, Dennis and I, the keyboard player, Dr. Samurai, he and I had just, our band Equinox had broken up. And we were like, I actually owned the name Equinox all the way back to 1975. That was the name of my first band when I was 14, 15 years old. But anyway, make a long story short, we were practicing one night, just him and I, because all we did as a keyboard player and guitar player was write movie soundtrack type stuff. So we decided to put together a full band. We went to Perkins for breakfast at 3 o'clock in the morning. Always remember it. And we're going, okay, what are we going to call this band? It can't be a one word or a two name. They've all been used, all the cool names. Let's think of something nobody else has come up with. So we were sitting there thinking. I said, by the way, man, have you written anything lately? And he goes, yeah, I got this new thing I'm working on. The title of the song is Seasons of the Wolf. And I said, dude, that's the name of our band.
That's not quick.
I said, Seasons of the Wolf. I like that. Let's do it. And this was a time before there was so many damn wolf bands. I think at that time there was only like Steppenwolf and White Wolf and maybe one other wolf band with a wolf in the title. Now there's Wolf, Wolfen,
yeah.
Wolf
Power Wolf.
Wolf up your ass with a red hot poker.
I think that's a different band.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how we came up with it. It just had a good ring to it, and we wanted something different. And we always liked Blue Oyster Cult, orchestral maneuvers in the dark, and longer electric light orchestra type names. So we decided to go with Seasons of the Wolf.
Now, what about the logo? I understand the logo is it's supposed to be shaped like a spaceship, and you've called the spaceship the Quilex. Is that right?
Quilex.
Okay.
Quilex. Quilex. It's something I came up with back when I was 12 years old. I used to draw spaceships all the time, so I came up with my own authentic kind of spaceship, side view, back view angles and stuff like that. So I had that as the logo for Equinox back in Virginia in 1975, and it carried on, man, and I just kept using it and modifying it, and it became the Seasons of the Wolf logo. And a lot of our stuff is sci-fi, and a lot of our stuff is horror and supernatural type stuff. So, metaphysical, weird stuff like that. So it appeals to the sci-fi fans. It appeals to the horror fans. We've got some of our songs that are based on Stephen King. Electric Dimension actually comes from Lawnmower Man. That's one.
Yeah.
Storm of the Century, actually titled after one of his movies. You know, it's all about Cape Cod and all that crap. We basically watch the movie about 12 times and take notes on it, and then we sit down and write lyrics and put together the song.
Cool. So how does it work when you guys are writing a song? Is it just like a couple of you, like one writes the music, one writes the lyrics, or is it like a collaboration with everyone that's in the band?
However, whoever comes up with whatever and inspires whatever at the time. I mean, we do lyrics. Sometimes I write all the lyrics. Sometimes Dennis would write all the lyrics, and sometimes my brother would write all the lyrics back then through all the first albums. And sometimes we'd collaborate together. It'd be me and Dennis, or me and my brother, or all three of us. But the three of us were the ones that mostly wrote lyrics.
Okay.
I came up with a lot. Subject matter and titles. I'd write a new riff and I'd go, oh, this sounds like it should be called Wings of Doom. And I didn't write the lyrics for that. I said, guys, Dennis, West, write some lyrics for Wings of Doom based on the balance of nature and bats being very important and all that crap. And these guys would slam it down and we got Wings of Doom.
Cool.
And then sometimes my brother, we'd just be sitting back writing some music. And while the band was working on the music, my brother would be pacing back and forth across the front of the stage with a lyric pad, you know, his pad of paper, writing down stuff. And okay, you want to try it out? Yeah, fine. Then Witchfinder. That was his first song that he wrote for the band, was Witchfinder. And just, it happens however it happens.
Yeah, however it comes around.
Sounds like garbage, we throw it out. If we don't like it, we throw it out. Sometimes we keep it around and remodify it later. I mean, right now, we've probably got about 3 albums worth of material that haven't even been recorded yet.
Right.
That's outtakes from other albums that were left over that we didn't feel fit that particular album. So we'd just save them, and maybe they would be remodified and turned into something on the next album.
Yeah, or it might fit better on the next album, so it could be used as is. Now, you mentioned your brother, Wes. Now, he's the original vocalist, right, for Seasons of the Wolf?
Right, he's the original singer. He started with us just out of high school when he was 18. And those early recordings, you can definitely tell he's very young on those first 2 albums. He sounds real nasally, you know, like a baby devil when he sings. Later on, his voice got a little more warmer, but him and I sang a lot together. I did a lot of the backups, and I have a little bit more deeper voice, a little more of the low end and mid-range, and he always took care of the higher end stuff. And when we sang together, it was really good on the chorus lines.
Now, he's not singing now for the band, right?
No, back in 2008, he had some problems. He'd already been with us for 20 years, and he had some issues, and we waited a while. That's why the time between the 2007 album and the 2018 album, all that time went by. During that time, we had some reissues on vinyl and everything that labels were putting out for us, and then also Iron Shield Records and Witch's Brew Records, both out of Germany, teamed up to put out our first 2 albums for the first time available on CD, a double CD. Mm-hmm. So we remastered all that, the stuff that was on those cassette tapes, and then sent them over, and they put that out. So there was still a lot of things coming out by the band during that time, but a long time passed by before we actually put out the new album because we were kind of waiting on them to see if my brother would clear up his issues. And that never happened. So he had already sang he did like half the album, and I went in and did the rest of it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
from an early age, I was his vocal instructor even when he got started into the band because I used to be the lead singer for Equinox, and that's kind of like why he had an interest in the first place. So I just put my pipes back to work and finished the rest of the album.
So are you singing now, say, on this new track that we're going to hear in a few minutes here, Stella Magnetica, are you singing on that?
No, that's our new singer.
Okay, and who's your new singer then?
It took us a few years to find the right guy. We went through dozens. I mean, people from California, East Coast of Florida, and this and that, sending us stuff. We did a few auditions, and a guy come in, he sounded like Jeff Tate from Queensryche, and I'm like, that's great, but I don't want Jeff Tate from Queensryche. I need somebody that has the character and sounds a little bit more like what we're doing, you know, a little more with the rough edge when it's necessary. And then, you know, it's nice to have good, clean, clear vocals, and I love that. But I like also, you know, we all appreciate when Rob Halford gets nasty and he goes down low and growls at us, and shrieks at us when he goes up high. So I needed somebody capable of having that character of like Ozzy on stage, but having a little bit better pipes, as maybe in the Dio or Bruce Dickinson range. And that's what Seasons of Wolf was about, you know. So Rob came along. It took us a few years to find him, and he came along and he fit every part of the mold, and he loved it. This is his first band. The guy used to be like 450 pounds, man, and he had lost a lot of weight and had a surgery and this and that, and he came to us at 182 pounds.
Wow.
And grew his hair out, and he's living his own personal dream now. And we love him, man. He's a great guy.
Perfect. Sounds like he's a great fit then for the rest of the guys too, in attitude and personality as well. Then.
Yeah, and then a new bass player and a new drummer as well, because we went through a lot of bass players and drummers. I mean, we're basically kind of like Judas Priest in that respect. We've been through a shitload of bass players and drummers for one reason or another. Some death, you know, in some cases. But yeah. So, yeah, our new track, Stella Magnetica, is Robert Von Baxter.
Right on.
And you cannot beat that name either.
Yeah.
What's your name? Robert Von Baxter. I'm like, here, man. I'm going to play something on guitar. I want you to bring some lyrics out. And I want you to sit down and let me flip through your lyrics and see, okay, put these lyrics to what I'm playing on guitar. And bam, he wrote, that was his first song with the band. It's called Rain in Your Head. And we haven't put that one out yet, but it's going on the album. That was his first lyrical contribution to the band, and him and I co-writing together. It just worked, man.
Perfect.
Cool name, cool attitude. He's crazy. Son of a bitch.
Sometimes things just work out, right? But so now you've released a few singles recently, and Stella Magnetica just today with the premiere, radio premiere of it going to be coming up here on CGCM Rock Radio in just a few minutes. But there is going to be a full album coming as well then.
Yes, sir. We're leading up to that. We're probably going to put out one more single, which will be the one that Robert and I co-wrote. And after that, we're working on the artwork right now. I'm going to ship it over to have it mastered and ship it over to Iron Shield Records, and hopefully by October we'll have a new album out.
Excellent.
It's kind of been delayed for a couple of years, man. I mean, we could have put this thing out 2 or 3 years ago, but we've been slammed with everything here in Florida. You know, the COVID thing is another on top of it. But before that, it was hurricane this, hurricane that. Wipe you out, like turn your electric off for 2 weeks, and you're waiting, and you're losing business and money and everything. It's like we just kept getting slammed with one thing over and then all dipping into that pocketbook. So it's like, I will wait till next year. I will wait till next year. And then all of a sudden COVID came along.
And it's wait again. Yeah, forced into it, right? Yeah.
We originally were planning on putting this new album out in 2020.
Oh, really? So we're about 3 years behind. Yeah.
So, yeah, so what is it now? Yeah, we're 3 years behind, so this will make it 5 years since the last album.
Right.
Not that it wasn't there and available.
Yeah. Well, in some cases, it's better to take your time to make sure you get it, exactly what you want and stuff like that as well. But it sounds like you guys were ready to go and had some other things against you. So hopefully that is not the case going forward, and that you'll be able to get the album.
We've got a couple of surprises coming up on the new album. We've got a couple of tracks that I know that any Iron Maiden fan will appreciate.
Right on.
I mean, wasn't intentional. When we write songs, we unintentionally are inspired by different artists. And it's like a mixing pot of Deep Purple, Blue Oyster Cult, Iron Maiden, Metal Church, Megadeth, and throw in some Thin Lizzy here and there and some UFO, because I'm a big Michael Schenker fan. It's mixed up, And you can hear in different parts of the songs, when you listen to them back, a lot of people that did reviews of us will go, well, I can't pinpoint any one thing. They have their own sound, but it sounds like a sound developed out of 5 or 6 or 7 different people, you know. Well, so that's the case with most people out there.
I mean, I'm going to say naturally you have influences in bands that you like and respect and listen to from today and from back 30, 40 years ago as well. That's going to be part of your makeup, and I'm sure that influence is going to come out somewhere in in everything. And I'm sure that's the case with every musician. I mean, I'm not a musician. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to assume that.
And we've always stuck to the old school, man. There's a lot of good stuff out there, and I do appreciate and respect all musicians that are even have the balls enough to try to have a career and make an impact at all and write good songs and enjoy doing it. I have a respect for everybody from Buddy Holly to Michael Jackson to, whatever, Johnny Cash and Slayer and all the in between. Mm-hmm. There's a few things I don't really care for, just like you.
The same.
But I can at least respect it. I mean, like we were talking, I think it was last week, it was 9 Inch Nails.
I don't remember last week. I was drunk.
Yeah, well, 9 Inch Nails was in there, and you were like, oh, man.
Yes.
And I agree, but I do remember when I first heard those guys, it was a promo disc that only had like 3 or 4 songs on it.
Oh, that's right.
And my brother brought it to me from work. He used to work for Camelot Records back then, so he'd get all these free promos, and he brought it in. I go, 9 Inch. Oh, okay, 9 Inch. I put it on. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. And then there was one song in there that did not sound like any of the rest, and it rocked.
I remember you saying that in the chat.
I played it like 3 times in a row, and I'm going, man, this is really good. Why in the hell don't the rest of this sound like this?
I mean, at the end of the day, I remember you saying that in the chat now, but at the end of the day, so I don't like, say, 9 Inch Nails we're talking about, and a bunch of other bands. Nester's another one that I really can't stand. It doesn't mean that they're not good. It doesn't mean that they're not talented, and I certainly, I've said it many times, that's just my opinion. I have an appreciation for them to be able to get out there and to do it, and folks to enjoy their creations, I think is fantastic. So when I stand up here and go, oh, those guys suck, I hate them, that's just my opinion. And I'm the guy with the mic, so I can say that, right?
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Hey, that's why I like your show. Truth, man.
Yeah, but
one of them, baby.
At the end of the day, if somebody requests it right there in the chat, I'm going to play it because it's not just me. Everybody has something different. If we all like the same thing, then we would only have chocolate ice cream. There would be no Baskin-Robbins with 31 different flavors of ice cream if we all like chocolate, right? We got to have difference, and I think that's a cool thing. No. Anyway, man, I appreciate.
Well, maybe we should shut up for a while and give these people some requests. Man.
I was just going to say I appreciate you coming on here. I know we had the technical difficulties, but we were able to get her going. And I think we should premiere the brand new Seasons of the Wolf track, Stella Magnetica, and then get back to the requests and hang out and have a good time for the rest of the evening.
If anybody's got anything to ask out there about Seasons of the Wolf, if you want to bust my balls or something like that, feel free to do so in the chat,
That's right. I did forget to say that off the top there, but anyone that does have any questions about Seasons of the Wolf or just about playing in a professional band in general, feel free to type them up there in the chat, and Skully will answer them for you. And nice to have you on the stream, brother. I appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate your listens over the past few weeks, a couple of months even as well. That's awesome. And I'm looking forward to hearing the new track.
I like my Friday evenings, man. This is my Friday evening now.
Yeah.
I got a Fleetwood Mac tribute band that practices here every Friday evening starting around 6:30, but that's in the other room, so... And they don't play as loud as most of the rock or metal bands, so right. I actually can listen and enjoy your show during the whole time they're sitting out there doing their thing. And so that's what I do now. Fridays, that's what I do.
I like being the regular Friday guy. I like that. I like that. All right, let's get to the new track, Stella Magnetica. And I'm sure you'll be hanging out for a while in the chat for anyone that has any questions, comments on the track, anything like that. And I appreciate you calling in today, brother.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right.